I've got a Tandy ring knife slash Aussie strander set, a little bigger than a 1/4 inch. I've got a scalpel blade on it. I've got a hotel room card, which is my modification to take the wobble out of the fence. And I need to cut some of this purple hide because I'm making purple things today and tomorrow. So setting a scalpel blade in here and taking the fluff off. So I've modified this Tandy strander in a bunch of different ways. So I put a thumb screw here, which I use a pair of pliers to tighten instead of the pot metal screw that it came with. And this fence wobbles quite a bit. It's got a lot of play. Now you can lock the cam, but I'd rather float the cam because sometimes I want to adjust the width as I'm cutting, because this is a rough cutting tool. I used to think of it as a precision tool. So I was trying to get the precision as high as I could, but it's really a rough cutting tool. So I'm going to cut some work at cutting a strip. Now my goal is to cut a bunch of different, a whole lot of this lace out of this hide. This particular hide's about 20 square feet. So there's a lot of hide to move around. So I'm just rough cutting some lace. I have to do this anyway, so I thought I'd go live and share the process with people in case they ever wanted to use an Aussie strander to cut hide. So this is made by Horween. It was 23.8 square feet. This is a DHF, or double horse front. And it's kind of a pretty purple, although it turns out a little more red than purple. That must have been a big cow. So this is the whole front end of a horse. So this is Horween. This is called a double horse front. And it's super tough leather. It's a little thinner than cowhide, but it's like this is called a Wrangler, and it's a Horween product. And it's been waxed on the front side. So it has a neat pull-up for making bags and stuff, but I use it for a great braiding material that's strong enough. wrestling 20 some square feet of hide to try and cut. And the closer you get to the smaller piece, the easier this process is. And I put the cell phone close to me so you get my point of view as I'm doing it, as though you're looking right at it. If I set it up further, you can just watch, but then I can't read the screen. This is just one way to use this tool. You can see how it's stretchy through this area. And you can see the color go from this dark to this lighter purplish color. That's a neck section. But if you oil it or heat it up or wax it, it goes back to the darker color. So and the goal with this is to cut it 7-8 millimeters and then shave it down to 6 or 5 to make really beautiful strong lace. Fighting a hide. It's kind of how this process goes. You're constantly, especially when you have a large piece of leather. Here. We're back to the Orleans stamp. So I've already cut this hide into kind of an oval shape that's, 8 foot long or so. Once in a while you get buildup of kind of chaff in front of the blade. If you back it up, you can clear it out. This is a hotel room card that I use to stabilize the fence, and it creates a platform so you don't end up wobbling this whole tool. It makes it easier to process large, thinner hides. It doesn't do so well with thicker hides because you need the width or thickness. But if you want to cut your own lace, this is where you start. It's taking it out of a hide. You would have to have quite a large table to lay this flat, is why I don't lay it flat. I don't have a large table that'll hold, an 8-foot circular table or something. So I figured out how to do this from a recliner. I can set and cut for an hour. You can see that chaff building up on the blade. You see the hide has some holes. And you kind of have to watch for them and watch for the areas that are weak and try and go around them if you're trying to keep the lace contiguous. Imagine at 7 or 8 millimeters, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to hit that hole. And you can cut around the hole. This is a more insidious hole. You can see there's a hole there, but you have to read the hide as you go. It's done with your fingers more than your eyes. So you can see it necked way down, but that was because this area is really stretchy through here. But this is a rough cutting tool. I used to think of this Aussie strander as being a precision tool, but it's really meant to rough out, and then you refine the shape with stretching and beveling the lace. Back it up a little bit, kind of knock the fluff off. So this area is particularly spongy. So I'm going to cut kind of a boomerang shape out. It's kind of like belly. It's just stretchy in this area. And it helps to cut it mostly straight. And it broke right in the stretchy section. That's just fine. So I'll show you a trick here. So if you want to use all of your blade, if you break off the dull section, and I recommend sticking it in a box or something so you don't end up in the trash and lacerate yourself. You can then use all the sharp bits of the scalpel Okay. So you can cut yourself a feather. And you can tuck a feather through the gap. Okay, so that blade is done. I'm going to change the blade real quick. I was in hopes of getting a little more out of that one. And grab yourself a new scalpel blade. Slide it Okay. So it's underneath. We're probably back to the races. You can hear the difference between the new sharp scalpel and the old, more dull one. Now I'm pulling at about a 45, 30 degree angle or 45-degree angle to keep the fence engaged and to keep the blade where it needs to be. While rotating the 20-some square foot cowhide or horsehide. And this is our problematic area where it broke last time. And I can feel the flaw on that side. So I'm going to try and get below the flaw. So you guys are welcome to ask questions. If you want to add a comment, I think it asks a question. I'll try and answer it. But see, there's a flaw in the hide too. And this section wasn't that long, so there's a circuit around. So I'm just gonna, you can see it's pretty consistent, considering I'm doing it upside down and at a weird angle. Make a little hank out of that. That one just makes a few foot long piece. Raise the camera up so you can get a bigger view and it won't be just me breathing. I don't even see the flaw. I can feel it, but I can't see it. Next section with the whirling. You can see the card through the hole. So this area, the skin is a little thicker, whereas up in the neck it's thinner. So it drags more on the cam here. And I don't have the cam locked because if I want to adjust it, I can. The cam lock is useful. So I got one more pass on this one before I'm going to need to trim that out. Okay, that corner is getting to be more than 90 degrees. So cut kind of a boomerang shape and flatten it way out. Okay, So, okay. So I'll adjust this and I'll come back and probably live stream some more here in a few minutes. I've got to go run an errand and I'll be back. But you get an idea as to how to rough cut some lace. So, if anybody has any questions, I'll try to look at the screen because I raised it up and I can't see it. Anyway, this is Chuck with Pocket Snakes. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to see when I go live. I've been cutting lace for about 40 minutes. I'll be back to cut more lace. Just maybe I'll run over to the beveler and run the beveling tool here on the lace I just cut, which is a kind of a nice purple. It's a purplish red, which is weird. I don't really know how that works, but this color is technically supposed to be a purple. And this is a waxed Wrangler side, they call it. And this one's a second. It has holes in it, so typically we'll use seconds because other people, they are irritated by holes. It just makes it more challenging. Again, this is Chuck with Pocket Snakes. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to run an errand and I'll be back